Ravi sat near the window of the colony station, watching the endless stars outside. The colony was built around a small planet that glowed blue and green beneath them. It was supposed to be a peaceful place, a home for humans far from Earth, but today the air was heavy with unease. Everyone had been called into the central hall. The Seerlands, an alien race known for their diplomacy and strange traditions, had arrived weeks ago. They came not with weapons, but with words. They said humanity was too young, too alone, and too fragile to stand among the stars without allies. Their answer was a bold idea they called the Matchmaker program. The program sounded strange to Ravi. The Seerlands believed that peace between species could only be guaranteed if bonds of family were formed. They wanted to pair humans with members of other species, creating unions that would tie cultures together. Many humans did not like the idea, but the Seerlands were powerful. If humanity refused, it could risk losing trade, protection, and standing among the galaxy. Ravi had thought the whole thing would not matter to him. He was an engineer, working quietly on repair teams and fixing broken systems. He kept to himself, never asking for attention. But when the announcement was made that names would be chosen, he felt his chest tighten. He told himself it was unlikely his name would be called. There were thousands of colonists on the station. What were the chances it would be him? The central hall was filled with voices, both human and alien. The Seerlands stood tall at the front, their pale skin glowing faintly under the lights, their long robes flowing like water. Their leader, Arizon, raised his hand and silence fell. His voice was calm, musical, and carried across the hall without effort. Today begins a step into a new era. We call forth the names chosen by the Council. These matches are not random. They are bonds we believe will bring strength to both sides. Together, you will stand as bridges between worlds. One by one, names were called. Humans walked forward, nervous, as alien partners stepped beside them. Some were welcomed with smiles, others with awkward silence. Every name brought a wave of whispers through the hall. Ravi stood near the back, hoping to remain unseen. His hands were locked together, fingers tight. He told himself again and again that his name would not come. But then, Arizon spoke. Ravi of the human colony. The words froze him in place. People turned, eyes on him. His heart raced, and his legs felt heavy as he stepped forward. The Seerlands gestured for him to stand at the center. And his match, Arizon continued, is Lyra of the Valerie. The hall stirred with sudden energy. Even those who had not been paying attention straightened. The Valerie were known throughout the stars as warriors, tall and proud, with strict traditions. They rarely looked outside their own kind. For one of them to be matched with a human was shocking. The crowd parted as Lyra walked forward. She was taller than Ravi by nearly a head, her presence commanding. Her skin bore faint silver markings that glimmered under the lights, each mark a sign of victories earned. Her eyes were sharp, glowing with a strange fire. She moved with steady confidence, as though she already knew her place in this hall. She stopped before Ravi and studied him without speaking. For a moment, the silence pressed down on him, and he felt smaller than he had ever felt in his life. He had expected scorn or mockery, but Lyra's gaze held something else. It was not cruelty. It was judgment, as if she were weighing his worth. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was low but strong. "You are mine now." The words echoed in the hall. Ravi's chest tightened, and he felt every eye on him. He wanted to protest, to say that humans chose their own paths, that he was not a prize to be claimed. but his voice caught in his throat. Arizin smiled faintly, raising his hands. The match is sealed. May this bond bring peace and strength. The hall erupted in whispers again, some in surprise, some in disbelief. Ravi stood frozen beside Lyra. He could feel her presence like a wall beside him, unshakable and fierce. When the ceremony ended, pairs were escorted to chambers to meet privately. Ravi followed silently, his thoughts spinning. The room they entered was simple, with a table and 2 seats. Lyra did not sit. Instead, she stood tall, arms crossed, eyes fixed on him. "You are smaller than I expected," she said plainly. "But size is not everything. I see spirit in your eyes. That is good." Ravi finally found his voice. "I did not ask for this." Lyra tilted her head, her expression unreadable. "Neither did I. But the choice is made. In my culture, once chosen, the bond is eternal. I will not allow it to be broken." Ravi's frustration flared. "Humans do not live that way. We choose for ourselves. We are not claimed like objects." Lyra's eyes narrowed, but there was no anger, only certainty. "You will understand. In time." Silence hung between them. Ravi sat at the table, burying his face in his hands. He had lived his life quietly, never wanting to be noticed, and now he was tied to a warrior of a species that believed in unbreakable bonds. Yet, beneath his fear and anger, there was something else. Curiosity. Lyra was unlike anyone he had ever met. Strong, proud, yet not cruel. She spoke as if she carried a weight of duty, not selfishness. Lyra stepped closer, placing her hand on the table. Her markings shimmered faintly. "Do not fear me, human. I will stand by you. No one will touch what is mine." Ravi looked up at her. He did not know whether to feel safe or trapped. But one thing was certain. His life had just changed, and there was no turning back. Ravi had trouble sleeping the night after the ceremony. His room felt smaller than ever, and every sound of the station seemed louder. He kept turning in his bed, thinking of what had happened. He had always lived quietly, fixing machines and systems, keeping his head low. Now, without warning, the Seer Lands had tied him to someone he did not know, someone from a species that lived by rules completely different from his own. He thought of Lyra's words. "You are mine now." They had echoed in his mind again and again. At first, he felt anger. He was not an object, not something to be claimed. But then he remembered the way she said it. Her voice was not mocking. It was serious, heavy with meaning. It was not about ownership. It was about duty. She believed in bonds that lasted forever. The next morning, the station bells rang, calling the newly matched pairs to their first private meeting under Cyrillan guidance. Ravi walked slowly through the halls, his mind restless. Other humans passed him, some smiling nervously, others whispering about their alien partners. Ravi heard his own name a few times, spoken with curiosity. Everyone knew his match was different. Everyone knew he had been paired with a Valerie warrior. He entered the chamber where the meeting would take place. The room was larger than the one from yesterday, decorated with banners of the Seer Lands. A table stood in the center, with 2 seats, and behind them, a tall window showing the stars outside. The room was quiet, almost too quiet. Lyra was already there, standing near the window. She did not sit, as though chairs were beneath her. Her tall frame looked even more imposing against the glass. When Ravi entered, She turned her sharp gaze on him. For a moment, he felt rooted in place, as if those eyes could see straight through him. "You came," Lyra said, her voice calm but firm. "I did not have a choice," Ravi answered, trying to keep his voice steady. "There is always a choice," Lyra replied. "You could have refused. You could have hidden. But you are here." Ravi frowned. He did not like how easily she turned his own doubt against him. "I came because the Seer Lands ordered it. That is not the same as choosing." Lyra studied him for a moment, then walked closer. She moved like a predator, each step measured, silent, and controlled. She stopped in front of him, towering above him. "Then let me see what kind of human you are. Speak your mind. Do not hide behind fear." Ravi took a breath. His hands clenched, but he forced himself to meet her gaze. "I do not want to be forced into this bond. Humans value freedom. We choose who we spend our lives with. No one decides for us." Lyra tilted her head, her silver markings glowing faintly under the light. "In my culture, to be chosen is the highest honor. When a warrior claims, it is not about possession. It is about promise. To claim is to protect. To claim is to fight beside someone until the last breath." Her words were heavy, spoken with complete belief. Ravi wanted to argue, but something in her voice stopped him. She was not lying. She truly saw him as someone she must guard, someone she must fight for. Still, he shook his head. "That may be your way, but it is not ours. We do not live by unbreakable bonds. We live by trust, by choice. Without that, the bond means nothing." For the first time, Lyra's expression softened. Her eyes lost a bit of their hardness. She stepped back, as though giving him space. "You speak with fire for one so small," she said. "Perhaps that is why the Seer Lands chose you. They see strength where others do not." Ravi blinked. No one had ever called him strong before. He was an engineer, not a fighter. His life had been quiet, ordinary. Yet this warrior looked at him as if he carried something valuable within him. Before he could answer, the door opened and Arizan, the Cyrillian leader, entered. His pale robes shimmered as he moved, and his voice flowed like music. "Good. You are speaking already. That is the purpose of this meeting. The bond will mean nothing without understanding. Sit, both of you." Ravi sat reluctantly at the table. Lyra hesitated, then lowered herself into the seat across from him. Even sitting, she seemed larger, her presence filling the room. Arizan smiled faintly. "Ravi, Lyra, this bond may be strange to you both. But know this, unity is not built in a day. It must grow. Speak openly, for truth builds bridges." With that, he stepped aside, standing near the door as a silent observer. Ravi looked at Lyra. She sat with her back straight, her hands resting firmly on the table. She did not look away from him even once. Her focus was absolute. It was unsettling, but also respectful. She was listening, truly listening. "Tell me about your people," Ravi said, surprising himself. Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly, but then she spoke. "We are Valerie. We live by honor and trial. From birth, we are tested. Only the strong survive, but strength is not only muscle. Strength is will, courage, loyalty. To betray is the worst crime. To protect is the greatest pride." Ravi nodded slowly. He could understand some of it. Humans valued loyalty too, though not in the same rigid way. "And what happens when someone does not want the bond?" he asked. Lyra's gaze hardened. "It has never happened. To refuse is to spit on destiny. It is unthinkable." Ravi lowered his eyes, pressing his palms together. That was the problem. What was unthinkable for her was natural for him. But before he could reply, Lyra leaned closer, her voice lower, softer. "You do not trust me. That is clear. But know this. Whatever else you believe, I will not harm you. I will not let anyone harm you. That is my vow." The words struck Ravi in a way he did not expect. He had heard promises before, but never spoken with such certainty. He could almost feel the weight of her vow pressing against him like a shield. He raised his eyes slowly. "I do not know if I can accept this bond. But I will listen. I will try to understand." Lyra gave a small nod, a gesture that seemed rare from her. "That is enough for now." Arizin stepped forward again, smiling faintly. "Good. The first step is taken. The rest will come with time." When the meeting ended, Ravi walked back through the halls. His thoughts were tangled, but one thing was clear. Lyra was not what he had expected. She was proud, yes, even frightening. But beneath that strength was something real. She believed in her words. She believed in him, in ways he did not yet understand. As he reached his room, Ravi looked out the window at the stars. His life had been simple before. Now, it was tied to a warrior from a world he had never seen. He did not know if this bond would hold or break, but for the first time, he felt a strange pull of curiosity. He wanted to know more. And far across the station, Lyra stood alone, staring at the same stars. Her hand touched the silver markings on her skin, and she whispered softly, "Mine." The days after the first meeting felt long and heavy for Ravi. Every corner of the colony seemed filled with whispers. People spoke of the matches, of strange new bonds forming between humans and aliens. Some laughed, some worried, and some grew angry. The program was dividing the colony in ways no one had expected. Ravi felt caught between two worlds. On one side were his fellow humans, many of whom told him in quiet voices that he should resist the bond. On the other side was Lyra, the proud Valerie warrior, who treated the bond as unshakable. He could not escape either side. Wherever he went, eyes followed him. One afternoon, Ravi was working in the repair bay, tightening bolts on a damaged panel. It was the one place he usually felt at peace. But today, even here, peace was broken. A group of workers gathered nearby, speaking in low voices. "Did you hear? Ravi's matched with a Valerie," one whispered. "I saw her in the hall. She looked ready to crush anyone who got close." "Poor guy doesn't stand a chance," another replied. Ravi clenched his jaw. He wanted to shout at them, to tell them they knew nothing about her. But part of him also felt the weight of their words. He did feel trapped sometimes, cornered by her certainty. Before he could speak, the sound of heavy steps filled the bay. Lyra walked in, her tall frame impossible to miss. The workers fell silent and quickly found excuses to leave. She ignored them, her sharp gaze locking only on Ravi. "You avoid me," she said plainly. Ravi stood, wiping his hands on a cloth. "I work. That is what I do. I am not hiding." "You hide with your work," Lyra replied, stepping closer. "When I look for you, you are buried in machines. You think the metal will protect you from me." Ravi met her gaze, his voice rising. Maybe I do. Because machines do not try to claim me. They do not speak of bonds I did not choose. Lyra's markings shimmered faintly, a sign of her rising emotion. You speak of choice as if it is the only truth. But choice is weak when it changes with the wind. Bond is stronger. Bond does not break. Ravi's chest tightened with anger. Bond without choice is nothing. If you force it, it is only chains. The two stood face to face, neither moving back. The tension was thick, like a storm waiting to break. Workers outside the bay whispered nervously, watching from a distance. No one dared step between them. Finally, Lyra spoke again, her voice lower but firm. You think me your jailer. But I am not. I stand by you because I was chosen, and because I see worth in you. Do you not see? Others may laugh at humans, but I will not. I will fight anyone who does. Ravi's anger wavered for a moment. He remembered how, during the ceremony, she had defended him with her eyes alone. And now, here she was, declaring she would protect him even when he pushed her away. But he shook his head. I do not need a guard. I need respect. I need to know I have a say in my own life. Lyra's eyes softened, just for a breath. Then speak, human. Say what you want, and I will listen. The words surprised Ravi. For the first time, she sounded less like a warrior and more like someone trying to understand. He took a deep breath. I want time. I want to know you, not as a claim, not as a bond forced on us, but as a person. If there is trust, maybe then there can be something real. But if you keep saying I am yours without hearing me, then nothing will work. Lyra was silent for a long moment. Her gaze held his, searching, weighing. Then she gave a slow nod. You speak with fire again. I respect that. Very well. I will listen. But know this. While you search for trust, I will still stand by you. I will still protect you. That is my way. The clash between them did not end there. In the days that followed, they walked the colony together under Cyrillan guidance. At every turn, Ravi and Lyra argued. She believed strength was duty. He believed strength was freedom. She spoke of bonds that lasted forever. He spoke of choices that gave life meaning. Yet, strangely, their clashes drew attention. Other humans and aliens began watching them closely. Some whispered that this strange pair might show what the program could become. Others laughed, saying they were too different to ever find balance. The breaking point came during a gathering in the hall. A tall alien from another species, a Drekken with scaled skin, mocked Ravi openly. Look at the human, the Drekken sneered. So small, so weak. A poor match for a Valerie. She deserves better. The hall fell silent. Ravi froze, anger burning inside him but words caught in his throat. Before he could speak, Lyra stepped forward, her voice sharp as steel. Silence, she commanded. You know nothing of him. Speak against him again, and you will answer to me. The Drekken snarled but backed away, unwilling to challenge her. The crowd murmured, surprised at her fierce defense. Ravi stood in shock. He had expected her to brush off the insult, or worse, agree. But instead, she had defended him as if the insult were against her as well. Later, when they were alone, Ravi asked quietly, why did you defend me? Lyra looked at him, her eyes steady. Because you are mine. Not as a possession. As a bond. When they insult you, they insult me. When they strike at you, they strike at me. This is the way of my people. Ravi did not know what to say. Part of him still resisted, still longed for freedom. But another part felt something new. A warmth, a strange sense of safety he had never known before. As they walked side by side, their clash of wills was far from over. But in that moment, Ravi realized something important. The bond might not have begun with choice, but every step forward was shaping it into something more. Something neither of them had expected. The colony had been quiet for weeks. Too quiet, Ravi thought. People moved about their daily work, but there was always a shadow in the air. Some humans whispered that the Matchmaker program would bring enemies. Others believed the Seer lands had pushed humanity into a dangerous game without asking if they were ready. Ravi tried to focus on his work in the engineering bay. The machines did not care about politics. They only needed bolts tightened, wires repaired, and systems checked. But even here, he felt the pressure of the new bond with Lyra. She often came to the bay, standing silently while he worked. She did not understand the machines, yet she watched with the same focus she gave to training with her weapons. One evening, while Ravi was running a test on the oxygen filters, the alarm rang. A deep, rising wail echoed through every corridor of the station. Ravi froze, staring at the flashing red lights above. He had never heard that alarm before. It was not a drill. The voice of the station commander came through the intercom. "Attention all crew. Hostile ships approaching. All civilians return to quarters. Defense teams to your stations." Ravi's chest tightened. Hostile ships? Who would dare attack a colony protected by Cyrillian agreements? But then he remembered the whispers. Not every alien race supported the Matchmaker program. Some saw it as weakness. Others hated the idea of humans rising so quickly among the stars. Lyra entered the bay, her steps heavy, her silver markings glowing faintly with her rising energy. "Stay close to me," she ordered. Ravi shook his head. "I have to get to the system's hub. If the attackers damage the oxygen lines or power core, the station could fail. People will die." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Your safety is my duty." "My duty is the station," Ravi answered, surprising himself with the strength in his voice. For a long moment, the two locked eyes. Then Lyra gave a short nod. "Very well. We go together." They moved quickly through the corridors as the station shook under distant impacts. The attackers were firing on the outer hull. Humans and aliens rushed past them, some to shelters, some to defense posts. Ravi saw fear on many faces, but also determination. When they reached the hub, Ravi ran to the control panels. Sparks flew from one of the consoles. The power lines were damaged, and the oxygen systems were losing pressure. His fingers flew across the keys, rerouting energy, sealing broken lines. A loud crash shook the corridor outside. Lyra drew her blade, the long curved weapon glowing faintly as it hummed with power. She positioned herself in front of the door, standing like an unmovable wall. The attackers broke through only minutes later. They were tall, armored figures with rough scaled skin and glowing eyes. Ravi recognized them from descriptions: Drekins, the same species that had mocked him in the hall days ago. The first Drekin warrior stepped inside, his weapon raised. Lyra struck like lightning. Her blade met his chest with a sharp crack, sending him crashing to the ground. Another charged, and she moved with swift precision, her strikes fast and unyielding. Ravi tried to focus on the systems, but the noise of battle filled the room. Sparks burst, weapons clashed, and the ground shook with every impact. He forced himself to stay calm, his hands racing to stabilize the oxygen flow. One Draken broke past Lyra, charging toward Ravi. Ravi's heart leapt, but before the alien reached him, Lyra intercepted, slamming the attacker back with a single strike. She stood over Ravi like a shield, her voice fierce. No one touches him. Ravi wanted to argue, but the words caught in his throat. In that moment, he felt the truth of her vow. She would fight until her last breath to keep him safe. The battle raged for what felt like hours but was only minutes. At last, the attackers retreated, their ships pulling back into the void. The alarms shifted from warning to cease fire. The station shook one final time, then grew still. Ravi slumped against the console, sweat running down his face. The systems were stable. The oxygen flow was safe. He had done his part. Lyra stood near the door, her blade dripping with dark stains from the fight. She breathed heavily, her markings glowing brighter than ever. Slowly, she turned toward Ravi. "You fought in your way," she said. "Not with weapons, but with will. You saved lives." Ravi looked at her, still catching his breath. "And you fought for me. For all of us." Their eyes met, and for the first time, Ravi did not feel only fear in her presence. He felt respect. Not just for her strength, but for the way she had stood without hesitation, protecting both him and the station. Later, as the colony repaired the damage, stories spread of what had happened. People whispered of the Valerie warrior who fought like fire, and the human engineer who saved the oxygen lines while the station burned around him. Some said the bond between them was a sign the program might work after all. Others still doubted, but the story grew. That night, Ravi sat in his quarters, staring at the stars. Lyra entered silently and stood by the window. For once, neither spoke in anger. Instead, silence carried a different weight, one of understanding. Finally, Ravi said quietly, "I thought you only saw me as yours, as a duty. But today, you stood beside me, not above me. You treated me as if I mattered." Lyra turned, her eyes steady. "You do matter. More than you believe. You are not weak, Ravi. You are human. That is enough." For the first time, Ravi felt something shift in his chest. The bond was still heavy, still strange, but it no longer felt like chains. It felt like the beginning of something else. As the station lights dimmed into night mode, Ravi realized the truth. The Matchmaker program had forced them together, but the fire of battle had shaped something real. They had fought side by side. And now, whether he admitted it or not, a part of him wanted to see where this bond could lead. The battle with the Drekans had left the colony scarred. Broken panels lined the corridors, and scorch marks darkened the walls. But the people were alive, and life continued. Repairs became the rhythm of every day. Ravi threw himself into his work, fixing the damaged systems alongside other engineers. Yet no matter where he went, Lyra was close. She followed him like a shadow, not out of mistrust, but out of duty. At first, Ravi thought her presence would suffocate him. But after the attack, her nearness began to feel different. When she stood nearby, he felt safer. He would not admit it aloud, but a part of him had stopped wishing she would leave. One evening, after a long day of repairing hull breaches, Ravi found himself walking toward the observation deck. The deck was a quiet place, a wide glass dome looking out into the endless stars. He often came here to think, But tonight he was not alone. Lyra was already there, standing tall with her arms folded, staring at the glowing planet below. Ravi hesitated, then stepped forward. The floor hummed under his boots, and she turned at the sound. "You seek the stars as well," she said. Ravi nodded. "They help me think. Out there, everything looks so calm. No battles. No arguing. Just silence." Lyra tilted her head. "The stars are not silent. They burn with fury. They live by fire." Her words surprised him. He had always thought of stars as peaceful. To her, they were alive with strength. They stood in silence for a while. Finally, Ravi spoke. "I want to ask you something. Why did you accept this bond? Did the Seer Lands order you, like they ordered me?" Lyra's eyes fixed on him, steady and unshaken. "The Seer Lands chose, yes. But I accepted. A Valerie never binds without intent. To claim is not duty alone. It is choice." Ravi frowned. "But you did not know me. How could you choose someone you had never met?" Her voice lowered, carrying a weight he had not heard before. "Because I saw your eyes when you were called. You stood, though fear gripped you. Many would have begged to be excused. You did not. That is strength." Ravi looked away, unsure how to answer. He had not felt strong that day. He had only felt trapped. Yet she saw something else in him, something he had never considered. Slowly, he asked, "And now? Do you still believe in this bond?" "I do," Lyra said firmly. "Not because of the Seer Lands. Because of you. You stood against me with your words. You argued, you resisted, you demanded choice. That fire is rare. I value it." Her words lingered in the air. Ravi felt warmth rise in his chest, though he tried to push it aside. He wanted to believe it was only her warrior pride speaking, but it felt more than that. The following days deepened the strange thread between them. Lyra began asking questions about human life. She wanted to know about family, about childhood, about simple things Ravi had never thought important. One morning, while repairing a broken water system, Ravi told her about his mother teaching him to build small machines back on Earth. Her patience, her laughter, the way she scolded him when he broke things by mistake. Lyra listened with full attention, as though every word was precious. In return, she told him of her own people. She spoke of training grounds where young Valerie fought side by side. Of trials in the deep caverns of her world, where only those with unshakable courage returned. She spoke of her oath that once she claimed, she became bound not just in body, but in spirit. The more they spoke, the more Ravi saw layers beneath her fierce surface. She was not only a warrior. She was someone who carried weight, responsibility, and loyalty that went beyond herself. One evening, as they walked through the busy market ring of the station, whispers followed them again. Some humans nodded at Ravi with quiet respect. Others avoided his gaze. A few aliens bowed slightly to Lyra, acknowledging her strength. Ravi muttered under his breath, "Everyone is watching us." "They will always watch," Lyra replied calmly. "But let them see. You are not weak. You are with me, and I am with you." Her words brought a strange mix of pride and unease. For so long, Ravi had lived unnoticed. Now, every step he took seemed to carry meaning. Later that night, while they shared a small meal in the mess hall, Ravi finally voiced the question that had been circling his mind. "Do you ever feel trapped?" "By this bond?" he asked quietly. Lyra set down her cup and looked at him carefully. Trapped? No. Bound? Yes. But a bond is not a prison. It is a path. Once chosen, it cannot be undone. Yet within it, there is strength, honor, and even freedom. You do not see it yet, but you will. Ravi leaned back, thinking. Humans do not see bonds that way. To us, freedom comes first. Without freedom, nothing else matters. Then perhaps, Lyra said, her voice softer than before, we will learn from each other. You will teach me your freedom. I will teach you my honor. Together, perhaps the bond will become something greater than either alone. Her words struck him deeply. For the first time, he did not feel as though she was pushing him into chains. She was offering him something, a path where both their values could exist side by side. That night, as Ravi lay in his quarters, he realized he no longer felt only resistance. The thought of Lyra did not bring only weight. It brought curiosity, respect, and even a strange comfort. He remembered the way she had listened to his stories, the way she had defended him, the way she had spoken of standing together. The bond was still new, still strange, but it was no longer only something forced upon him. It was becoming something shaped by both of them. The days after the attack had been filled with repairs and whispers of more danger. The station carried scars that could not be hidden, and its people carried fear that could not be spoken aloud. Yet for Ravi, the weight was not only from the danger outside. It was from the growing closeness between him and Lyra. He had begun to respect her, even to trust her, but the bond still pressed on his chest like a chain. Sometimes he woke in the night with a question burning in his mind. Was his path still his own, or had it been stolen the day the seer lands spoke his name? That question grew heavier when new orders arrived. A Cyrillian elder summoned Ravi and Lyra to the High Council chamber. The chamber was wide and filled with light that seemed to pour down from nowhere. The elder's silver skin shimmered as he spoke. The Drekans gather in greater numbers. We have seen their warships moving toward this sector. Bonds such as yours are not only for peace but for strength. You too will represent what is possible when worlds unite. Your example will stand against fear. Ravi's chest tightened. You mean you want to parade us as symbols? The elder tilted his head. Symbols shape minds. Minds shape the future. You must stand together before the station. Lyra bowed her head without hesitation. We will stand. Ravi clenched his fists. He wanted to shout, to refuse, but the eyes of the council pressed on him. He said nothing. As they left the chamber, Lyra noticed his silence. She touched his arm lightly. What troubles you? He pulled away. Do you not see? They are using us. I never asked for this. First, they forced the bond. Now they want to display us like trophies. Lyra's eyes narrowed. You think I do not see? I know the council's ways. But strength is shown not by refusing the burden, but by carrying it. Ravi shook his head. That is easy for you. For me, every step feels like someone else is choosing my life. You claim this bond was your choice. For me, it was never mine. Her face hardened, but her voice was steady. And yet, you have chosen many things since. You chose to fight beside me. You chose to repair, to endure, to speak when others stayed silent. Do not say you have no choice. The words stung. Ravi turned away, anger and confusion swirling in him. He did not want to admit that she was right, at least in part. But he could not escape the feeling that his future was being written by hands not his own. The following day, the council arranged a public gathering. Humans and aliens filled the great hall, their voices rising in curiosity. When Ravi and Lyra stepped forward, the hall grew quiet. The Seer Lance spoke first, telling the people of the bond and how it was proof that unity was possible. Then Lyra stepped to the front. She spoke with fire in her voice. I am Valerie. I was taught that bonds are sacred, that they bring strength. I have found that strength here, beside Ravi of Earth. He is not only my partner by law, but by choice of my heart. I claim him, not because the council said so, but because he has proven his spirit. Her words brought a cheer from many, but Ravi felt a storm inside. She spoke of claiming him, of choosing him. The hall waited for him to answer, but he froze. Every face stared at him. His mouth went dry. At last, he forced words out. I did not ask for this bond. I did not want it. But it is here, and I will not abandon those who stand with me. If unity is what keeps us alive, then I will walk this path. But know this, I will not be a symbol of obedience. I will be a symbol of choice. The hall erupted, some with cheers, others with murmurs of shock. The council members looked uneasy, but they did not silence him. After the gathering, Ravi walked quickly out of the hall. His chest was burning with the weight of what he had said. Lyra followed close behind. When they were alone, she stopped him. Your words were fire, she said quietly. Ravi turned to her, his face still tense. I meant them. I cannot keep living as if I am only what they made me. For the first time, Lyra's voice wavered. And what of me? Am I only what they made you accept? Ravi froze. He had not thought of it that way. She had chosen the bond, yes, but she was also shaped by her culture, her oaths, her people. Maybe she too was caught between duty and desire. The tension between them grew in the following days. They still worked together, still fought side by side in training, but there was a distance now. Ravi's words at the gathering had drawn a line neither of them knew how to cross. That line snapped when the Drekkins returned. The alarm echoed through the station, sharp and urgent. Warships appeared on the edge of the sector, larger and more dangerous than before. The station's defenses powered up, and crews rushed to their stations. Ravi and Lyra were called to lead a squad of mixed fighters, humans and Valerie together. As they entered the hangar, Ravi felt his anger fade under the weight of the moment. There was no time for questions of choice or duty. There was only survival. Lyra stood beside him, her armor shining, her expression sharp. She met his eyes. Whatever storm burns between us, it ends here. We fight as one. Ravi nodded. As one. The squad launched into space, engines roaring. Stars spun around them as the Drekkins closed in. Their ships were jagged and dark, moving like predators. The battle lit the void with fire. Ravi and Lyra fought with unspoken rhythm, each move echoing the other. But as the fight raged, a massive Drekkin warship broke through the lines. Its weapons targeted the station directly. Lyra's voice came through the comms. If that ship fires, the station falls. We must stop it. Ravi's heart pounded. Then we stop it? Together. They turned their fighters toward the massive ship, diving through enemy fire. For a moment, fear and anger vanished. There was only the bond of survival, the bond of battle, the bond they had not chosen yet could not deny. The battle against the Drekkin fleet reached its peak. The void outside the station was filled with fire, broken ships, and cries over the comms. Ravi gripped his controls, weaving through enemy blasts as his fighter shook under the strain. Lyra's voice echoed through the channel, calm and steady even in chaos. "Stay with me. Do not fall behind." "I am right here," Ravi answered. His fighter darted beside hers, both ships moving like twin blades cutting into the Drekken swarm. The giant Drekken warship loomed ahead. Its weapons glowed, preparing to fire at the station. If it struck, thousands would die. Every fighter knew this, but fear grew in their voices. "We cannot break through its shields," one pilot shouted. "They are too strong," another cried. Ravi's jaw tightened. Fear had no place here. "Then we find a way," he said firmly. "If we give up, everyone behind us is lost." His words steadied the squad. The fighters pulled together, their formation tightening around Ravi and Lyra. Together, they launched a barrage at the warship's defenses. Sparks flew across the Drekken hull, but the shields held. Lyra's eyes narrowed. The core is at the rear, near their power lines. If we strike there, the shields may fail. But the path is filled with heavy fire. "Then we cut through," Ravi said. Lyra's voice softened, almost like a whisper over the comms. "If we fail, you may not return." Ravi took a breath. "Then I will not fail. Not while you are with me." Her silence was brief, but he felt her heart through the bond. Strong, steady, and tied to his own. The squad dove toward the Drekken warship. Beams of light sliced past them. Explosions scattered debris across the void. Fighters fell one by one, but Ravi and Lyra pushed forward. Their ships rolled and twisted in perfect rhythm. At last, they reached the rear of the warship. The glowing power lines pulsed like veins of fire. Ravi aimed his weapons, but the shields still shimmered around them. "We need more firepower," Ravi said. "We cannot pierce it alone." Lyra's voice was clear. "Then we give everything we have." She accelerated forward, flying dangerously close to the shield. Her ship shook as enemy blasts struck. Ravi's heart leapt. "Lyra, no. This is the only way," she replied. Her fighter fired at full strength, pouring energy into the shield. It began to flicker, sparks tearing across its surface. Ravi understood. She was opening the way, even if it cost her. Not this time, he thought. Not like this. He pushed his fighter beside hers. "We do this together. You will not fall while I still breathe." Their combined fire struck the shield. The glow shattered like glass. The core was exposed, pulsing with power. "Now," Lyra shouted. Ravi unleashed every weapon his fighter carried. The squad followed, pouring their fire into the Drekken core. The explosion lit the void brighter than a star. The warship tore apart, its massive frame breaking into burning fragments. The Drekken fleet, seeing their flagship destroyed, began to scatter. Their formation collapsed. The station's defenses pushed them back, and soon the enemy retreated into the darkness of space. The comms erupted in cheers. Voices cried out with victory. The station was saved. But Ravi could not cheer yet. He turned his eyes to Lyra's fighter. Smoke trailed from its engines. "Lyra, are you with me?" Her voice came weak but steady. "I am here. My ship is broken, but I am alive." Relief washed through him. He guided his fighter close, escorting her back to the station. The hangar doors opened, and they landed side by side. When the canopy lifted, Ravi rushed to her. She stepped out slowly, her armor scarred, her face pale. Yet her eyes still carried that unshaken fire. They stood in silence for a moment, surrounded by cheering crews. Ravi spoke first. You would have given your life to break that shield. Lyra looked at him with quiet strength. And you would have done the same. That is the bond we carry. Ravi shook his head. No. That is the choice we carry. And today, I made mine. Her brows lifted. And what is that choice? Ravi met her eyes, his voice firm. To stand with you. Not because the council forced it. Not because the bond demands it. But because I choose it. The words hung in the air. Lyra's lips parted, her usual sharpness softening. Slowly, she stepped closer. Her hand touched his chest where his heart beat strong. Then hear mine, she said. I claimed you before as duty, as tradition. Now I claim you as my own will. Not as a symbol, not as a command. But because in battle, in fire, in every step, you have proven you are mine as I am yours. Around them, the crews cheered louder, not just for victory but for what they saw: two worlds bound not by law but by choice. The council would later speak of this day as proof of unity, as a tale for peace. But for Ravi and Lyra, it was not about the council or the bond. It was about standing in the void, facing death, and finding each other in the storm. That night, when the station grew quiet, Ravi stood by the viewport, staring at the stars. Lyra joined him, silent at first. Then she spoke. You once said you did not want this bond. Ravi nodded. I did. But I was wrong. It was not the bond one hated. It was losing my choice. Now, I see the truth. Choice and bond are not enemies. They are the same when given freely. Lyra's hand slipped into his. Then we walk forward, not as matchmakers chose, but as we choose. Ravi looked out at the stars, endless and full of unknown paths. For the first time since it began, the bond did not feel like a chain. It felt like wings.